The Valny ship drifted through space, barely moving. Its once beautiful hull now showed deep scars and burns. Inside, the ship's systems blinked red warnings. Air leaked slowly from several sections. Power failed in others. Ambassador Nera stood at the command center, her tall form bent with worry. Her normally bright scales had dulled to a pale blue. With two of her 4 arms, she held her child close to her chest. With her other arms, she gripped the control panel for support as the ship shook. "Mother, are we going to die?" asked little Tavi, his voice small against the alarms. "No, my light. We have found a new path," Nara said, though fear gripped her heart. She had led the last 500 of her people across the stars, running from the Concorde's warships. 3 star systems they had passed through, and 3 times they had been forced to flee. Now before them hung a blue-green planet, Earth, home of the humans, a species the Concorde avoided. The Concorde called humans unpredictable and dangerous. To the Valny, these words now sounded like hope. "Our scanners detect weapon systems," said Mero, Nera's chief pilot. "They have locked onto us." Nera closed her inner eyelids in a brief prayer. "Send the message we prepared." The message was simple. "We seek sanctuary. We are peaceful. We are dying." Minutes passed. The crew watched their screens, expecting the flash of weapons fire. Instead, a voice came through their speakers. "Unidentified vessel, this is United Earth Command. State your purpose." The voice sounded flat through the translator, but it wasn't hostile. Nera stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Nera of the Valny people. We ask for your help and protection. The Galactic Concorde has driven us from our home. They hunt us because of what we are. We have nowhere else to go." More silence followed. Nara stroked her child's head, feeling his fear mix with her own. "Explain why you are hunted," came the human voice again. "We are empaths. We feel the emotions of others. The Concorde leaders fear this ability. They say we can manipulate minds, but this is false. We only sense feelings. They fear what we might learn about their true intentions." The human didn't respond right away. Nara watched the planet grow larger in their view screen. So much water, so much life, so much hope. "Stay in your current position. We are sending a ship to meet you." The human vessel approached 2 hours later. It was small compared to Concorde ships, but showed signs of strong weapons and shields. The Valny watched nervously as it came alongside them. "Ambassador, I am Captain Jinmu Park of the United Earth Command vessel Vigilant. I request permission to come aboard with a small team." Nera looked at her crew. They were tired, scared, but they nodded. "We welcome you, Captain Park." The airlock connected the 2 ships with a dull thud. Nara stood waiting, her child now in the care of others. The inner door slid open. The humans looked strange to Valny eyes. Only 2 arms, no scales, covered in fabric except for their faces and hands. 5 of them entered, led by a man with dark hair and serious eyes. Captain Park stopped a few steps in, his eyes taking in the damaged corridor, the flickering lights, and finally, Nara herself. He didn't show fear when he saw her 4 arms or the scales that shimmered weakly across her skin. "Ambassador Nara?" he asked, giving a short bow. "Yes. Thank you for coming." She returned the gesture. "Your ship has taken heavy damage," Park said, looking at the exposed wiring and broken panels. "How many people do you have aboard?" 493. We lost 7 in the last attack." Park's face showed nothing, but Nera felt his emotions spike. Sadness, anger, not at her, but for her people. "I need to see your ship and assess your situation. Then we will talk about what comes next." For the next hour, Park and his team walked through the Valny ship. They saw the crowded living quarters where families huddled together. They saw the empty food storage. They saw the damaged engines that had barely gotten them to Earth. In the medical bay, they found 30 injured Valny, including children. One of Park's team, a woman with medical symbols on her uniform, immediately began helping the Volney doctor. Finally, they returned to the command center. Park's face remained calm, but Nera felt his emotions clearly now. Determination. Resolve. "Your people need immediate help," he said simply. "We can provide it." Nera's inner eyelids fluttered in surprise. Just like that, the Concord has declared us a threat to all sentient life. Park's mouth formed a small smile. Earth is not part of the Concord. We make our own decisions. He paused. "Why did they really turn on your people, Ambassador?" Nera hesitated, then decided on complete honesty. "The Concord Council learned we could sense when they lied during trade negotiations. We discovered their plans to slowly take control of smaller species' resources. When we tried to warn others, they labeled us dangerous." Park nodded as if this confirmed something. "Humanity has stood alone for centuries, Ambassador. The Concord approached us once, offering membership. We declined when we saw how they treated their lesser members. They've avoided our space since then, calling us unpredictable and violent." He looked around at the damaged ship. "Perhaps this is why we were meant to develop in isolation, so we could be here when you needed us." He touched a device on his wrist. "Captain Park to Earth Command. The situation is as they described. The refugees need immediate medical help, and their ship can't sustain them much longer." The reply came quickly. "Your assessment, Captain." Park looked directly at Nera. "These people pose no threat to Earth. They need our protection. I recommend we grant sanctuary." The silence that followed felt endless to Nera. Her people's entire future hung on what these humans would decide. Finally, the voice from Earth spoke again, simple and clear. "Bring them home." Tears formed in Nera's eyes. Across the ship, Volney, who had been listening, felt a wave of emotion they had nearly forgotten. Hope. Park stepped forward and offered his hand, a human gesture of agreement. "We'll need to move your people to our ship. The Vigilant can take you to Earth while we arrange for proper housing." As Nera reached out with her upper right hand to meet his, she felt something else from the human captain. Not just determination or duty, but something deeper. Understanding. Recognition. One outcast species recognizing another. "Thank you," she said simply, her hand meeting his. "Welcome to Earth," Park replied. The wind carried the scent of salt and sea across the New Zealand compound. Rows of white buildings gleamed in the southern sun. Tall fences surrounded them, though they were meant to keep humans out rather than Volney in. Nera stood at the window of her new quarters, watching her people explore the grassy areas between buildings. Children with shimmering scales played in the sunshine, their forearms reaching up to catch falling leaves. After months in a cramped, dying ship, the open sky above them seemed like a miracle. A knock came at her door. "Ambassador, the human team has arrived." Nera turned to see Miro, her pilot, and now assistant. "Let them in." 5 humans entered. They wore plain clothes with small badges showing Earth's united emblem. The one in front, a shorter man with glasses and kind eyes, stepped forward. "Ambassador Nera, I'm Dr. Hyun Kim. I lead the xenobiology team assigned to help your people adjust." He offered a bow in the style Volney recognized. "Thank you for the shelter you've provided," Nera said, returning the gesture. Dr. Kim smiled. "Let me introduce my colleagues. This is Dr. Minji, our medical expert. Dory, our language specialist. Taiho, our cultural liaison. And Jun, our environmental engineer." Each human nodded in turn. Nera felt their emotions clearly. Curiosity, excitement, a touch of nervousness, but no fear or disgust. This was new to her. Most species shielded themselves from Volney, fearing their thoughts would be read. "You don't wear emotion blockers," Nera observed. Dr. Kim tilted his head. "Should we?" Captain Park's report indicated your abilities sense emotions, not thoughts. "That's right, but most species don't trust that. They fear we see too much." Perhaps we should start by understanding exactly what you can sense, Dr. Kim suggested. Would you mind demonstrating? Nara hesitated, then nodded. Mero, please leave us for a moment. After her assistant left, Nara closed her eyes. Dr. Minji is worried about her child who is sick at home. Dr. Dori is excited about learning our language. Taiho is hungry. He missed breakfast. Jun is nervous about meeting aliens but hiding it well. And you, Dr. Kim. She opened her eyes. You're concerned about the political debates happening about us. The humans exchanged surprised looks. Dr. Kim nodded slowly. Remarkably accurate. But how would you know my daughter has a cold, Dr. Minji? I can't know specifics. I sense her worry has maternal roots. The context suggests a child. Fascinating. Dr. Kim took notes on a small device. Not mind reading at all, but genuine emotional perception with contextual awareness. Over the next weeks, the human team worked closely with the Valni. Dr. Minji studied their biology, finding ways to adapt Earth medicines for their needs. Dori created translation programs. Jun designed systems to make Earth's buildings comfortable for Valni physiology. One evening, as they finished reviewing the day's progress, Nara confronted Dr. Kim directly. Your people should fear us, she said. All other species do. Dr. Kim set down his tablet. May I ask why you believe that? Because we sense when you lie, when you hide things. The Concord called us living lie detectors before they turned on us. Do all Valni have the same level of abilities? No. Some barely sense anything beyond basic emotions. Others, like our truth readers, can detect complex deception. Dr. Kim considered this. Humans have a saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If the Concord fears you, perhaps we should get to know you better instead of fearing you too. A simple view of a complex situation, Nara said. Sometimes simple perspectives cut through complexity. Dr. Kim smiled. Humanity spent centuries divided by fear of differences. We nearly destroyed ourselves before learning better. Meanwhile, beyond the compound, Earth's governments debated the Valni presence. News broadcasts showed heated arguments in the United Nations. We cannot risk Earth's security for aliens who were expelled by a galactic government, declared one representative. We have a moral obligation to help refugees, argued another. Public opinion split similarly. Some humans protested outside the compound, holding signs that read Earth for Humans, and send them back. Others brought gifts and welcome messages. Inside the United Nations, Japan's ambassador spoke forcefully. New Zealand has graciously hosted these refugees temporarily, but a permanent solution must be found. The Tokyo summit will decide if Earth welcomes non-human immigrants or turns them away. The Tokyo summit brought together world leaders to discuss the Valni situation. Security was tight due to threats from anti-alien groups. Dr. Kim invited Nara to send 3 Valni representatives to observe the summit from a separate room. Your people won't participate directly, but you'll see how our process works. On the summit's second day, something unexpected happened. Lyra, one of the Valni observers with strong empathic abilities, suddenly grabbed Dr. Kim's arm. There's wrong feeling nearby. Strong hatred. Intent to harm. Her scales had darkened with stress. Dr. Kim looked concerned. Can you tell where? Lower in the building. 3 humans. Their emotions are terrible. Dr. Kim immediately contacted security. This might be nothing, but security found 3 maintenance workers in the basement with explosives and weapons. They had forged credentials and planned to attack during the main session when all world leaders would be present. The news spread quickly. Alien empaths saved Tokyo summit, read headlines worldwide. Videos showed the Valni representatives helping security locate the terrorists. Public opinion shifted dramatically. Protests dwindled. Support grew. One popular news host expressed what many felt. These beings use their abilities to protect us, not harm us. What better neighbors could we ask for? In the United Nations, the vote was decisive. Earth would offer the Valny permanent asylum and begin the process of integrating them into human society. When Dr. Kim brought the news to the compound, celebrations erupted among the Valny. Children danced, their scales flashing brilliant colors. Adults embraced each other with all four arms. Nara found Dr. Kim watching the celebrations with a smile. "You saved us," she said simply. He shook his head. "You saved yourselves by being exactly who you are. Your people helped us when you didn't have to. We did what was right. And that showed humanity who you truly are." Dr. Kim looked out at the celebrating Valny. "The integration won't be easy. There will be challenges. But today, Earth didn't just find refugees to shelter." "What did you find?" Nara asked. "Allies," Dr. Kim said. "Perhaps even friends." That night, for the first time since leaving their homeworld, the Valny slept without posting guards. Under Earth's moon, they finally felt safe again. The morning sky over New Zealand was clear and blue when the alarms began. 6 months had passed since the Valny found refuge on Earth. In that time, they had begun to build new lives. Some worked alongside humans in research centers. Others taught their language and culture in schools. Valny children now played with human friends in specially built parks. Nara was meeting with the Human Integration Committee when Captain Park burst into the room. His face was tight with worry. "Ambassador, we've detected a Concorde warship entering our solar system," he said. "It's massive, at least 5 times the size of our largest vessel." Nara's scales paled to a sickly white. "They found us." Within an hour, Earth's defense forces went on high alert. Military ships launched from bases around the planet. Families near military targets were moved to safety. In the Valny settlement, people gathered in small groups, their scales shifting to fearful blues and grays. The Concorde ship stopped just beyond Mars. It was huge, a dark metal monster against the stars. Soon after, a message reached Earth. "I am High Admiral Drex of the Galactic Concorde Enforcement Fleet," said a cold voice through translators worldwide. "You harbor fugitives from Concorde justice. The species known as Valny are defective and dangerous. Surrender them immediately or face the consequences." In the United Earth Command Center, President Lee stood before the communication screen. A small woman with a strong presence, she had led Earth through many crises, but never a threat from beyond the stars. "High Admiral Drex, I am President Lee of United Earth. The Valny people came to us seeking asylum, which we granted under our laws. They have proven to be peaceful and valuable members of our society. Your primitive society has been deceived." Drex replied. His face appeared on screen, gray-skinned with ridge-like features and cold eyes. The Valny use their mental abilities to manipulate emotions. They are a threat to proper order. "We have seen no evidence of this in 6 months of close contact," President Lee said. "The Valny are under Earth's protection. We do not recognize your authority to hunt sentient beings across our borders." Drex's expression didn't change. "Humans are not members of the Concorde. You have no standing in this matter. Surrender the empaths or face cleansing." The transmission ended. Military advisors surrounded President Lee immediately. "Madam President, sensor readings indicate their weapons could destroy our entire fleet without taking significant damage," said General Han. "We need more time to prepare defenses." "How much time?" "More than we have," the general admitted. At the Valny settlement, Nara called her people together. "We cannot allow Earth to be harmed for our sake," she told them. "They have shown us kindness when no one else would. We must offer to leave." But Captain Park, who had come to respect the Valny deeply, refused to accept this solution. "Where would you go? They would hunt you down within days," he argued. "There must be another way." That evening, as Earth's leaders discussed desperate defense plans, a knock came at the command center door. A small, elderly woman entered, followed by 2 Valny engineers. "President Lee," Captain Park said, "this is Professor Suk Kang, head of our quantum communications array. She believes she has a solution." Professor Kang didn't waste time. The Valny empathic abilities work through a form of quantum entanglement in their neural pathways. My team has been studying this with their cooperation. We believe we can amplify and broadcast these patterns through our global communication network. What would that achieve? President Lee asked. One of the Valny engineers, Tela, stepped forward. If successful, it would allow all receiving species to feel what we feel, our fear, our suffering, our truth. The Concord leaders have hidden the reality of what they've done to us. Their own people don't know. Can this be done before they attack? General Han asked. We've been working on the theory for months. Professor Kang said, with emergency resources, we can implement it within 12 hours. President Lee looked at each face in the room, then nodded. Do it. For the next 12 hours, teams worked frantically. Earth's most powerful quantum computers were redirected to the project. Valny, with the strongest empathic abilities, volunteered to connect to the system, despite the pain it would cause them. Captain Park stood by Nara as she prepared to join the empathic broadcast. This will hurt you, he said, concern clear in his voice. Pain is temporary, she replied. Extinction is forever. As dawn broke the next day, High Admiral Drex sent a final warning. You have 1 hour to begin transferring the Valny to our custody, or we will open fire on your orbital defenses. President Lee didn't respond directly. Instead, she gave a simple order: activate the array. Around the world, Valny connected to specially designed interfaces. In the main broadcast center, Nara sat in a chair surrounded by humming equipment. She looked at Professor Kang and nodded. Broadcasting now, the professor said. Nara closed her eyes and opened her mind fully. She thought of her homeworld, destroyed by Concord weapons. She remembered the children who had died during their flight. She focused on the fear, the loss, the injustice, but also on the hope they had found on Earth, the truth of what the Concord had done. Aboard the Concord warship, chaos erupted. Crew members suddenly staggered, overwhelmed by foreign emotions. Many fell to their knees, experiencing the suffering of the people they had been ordered to capture or kill. What is happening? Drex demanded, as his bridge crew clutched their heads. Some kind of attack, through the communication systems. An officer gasped. Emotions, I can feel them. Shut it down, Drex ordered. It's coming through all channels, sir, another officer said. I can feel their pain, what we did to them. On secondary Concord ships, the effect was even more dramatic. Captains and crew experienced not just the Valny emotions, but the truth behind the orders they had followed. Many were horrified. High Admiral, came a message from one of the escort ship captains. I cannot in good conscience participate in this action. The Valny are victims, not criminals. This is mutiny, Drex snarled. This is truth, replied the captain. One by one, most of Drex's fleet sent similar messages. They stood down, refusing to attack Earth or capture the Valny. Furious, Drex sent a message to Earth. This changes nothing. The Concord will not be manipulated by emotional tricks. President Lee stood tall as she replied. It changes everything, Admiral. Your own people now know the truth. This isn't about rules or authority. It's about justice. On Earth, the Valny disconnected from the array, exhausted but hopeful. Nara, nearly unconscious from the effort, felt Captain Park's hand on her shoulder. It worked, he told her. Most of their fleet has stood down. They're refusing orders to attack. She looked up at him, her eyes tired but bright. Truth is a powerful weapon. The most powerful, he agreed. Beyond Mars, the massive Concord warship turned slowly away from Earth. Without support from the rest of the fleet, even Drex couldn't risk an attack. As the ships disappeared into deep space, celebrations began across Earth. But President Lee remained cautious. This isn't over, she told her advisors. We've won a battle, not the war. The Concord will return. When they do, Captain Park said, they'll find us better prepared and standing together. The lights of 1,000 stars reflected off the polished black stone of the Illuvian Assembly Hall. Jinmu Park stood before the gathered representatives, his human form looking small among the tall, willowy Illuvians. His dark blue diplomatic uniform contrasted with their flowing silver robes. 6 months ago, you felt the truth, Park began, his voice calm but strong. You experienced what the Valni experienced. Today, I ask you to act on that truth. Behind him stood Nara and 2 other Valni representatives. Their scales shimmered in subtle blue and gold patterns, a sign of hope mixed with nervousness. The Concord claims to represent galactic civilization, Park continued. Yet it hunts those who are different. Humanity spent centuries overcoming such prejudice. We offer an alternative, a relationship based on mutual respect rather than control. The head of the Illuvian Assembly, Elder Silith, leaned forward. Her long, delicate fingers formed the traditional gesture of consideration. Commander Park, while many of us were moved by the empathic broadcast, the Concord has maintained peace for over 500 cycles. Breaking with their authority would risk much. Park nodded. Peace built on fear is not true peace, Elder Silith. The Valni were peaceful. They were still destroyed. Nara stepped forward. With your permission, I would like to address the assembly. Elder Silith hesitated, then nodded. I sense your concern, Nara said simply. You fear Concord punishment if you help us. You also fear they might do to you what they did to us if you ever fall from favor. Both fears are reasonable. Murmurs spread through the hall. The Illuvians were not used to having their emotions named so directly. I also sense your shame, Nara continued gently. You did nothing when our world burned. Many of you knew the charges against us were false, yet you stayed silent. That shame honors you. It shows you know right from wrong. The murmurs grew louder. Some Illuvians stood in protest. Others bowed their heads. We do not ask you to fight our battles, Nara said, only to recognize our right to exist and to establish direct diplomatic ties with Earth and the Valni, independent of Concord control. Elder Silith's inner eyelids flickered, an Illuvian sign of deep thought. The risk is great, she said. So does the reward, Park replied. Earth offers free trade, cultural exchange, and defense cooperation. We ask only that you recognize truth, not convenience. 3 days later, the Illuvian Assembly voted. By a narrow margin, they agreed to establish direct relations with Earth and recognize the Valni as a sovereign species. Similar scenes played out across Concord space. Earth sent small diplomatic teams to every major species. Always they brought Valni representatives who could sense deception and speak truth directly. On the Tor homeworld, with its heavy gravity and dense atmosphere, Park and Nara met the Tor leadership circle. The stocky, 4-legged Tor were practical beings with little patience for politics. The Concord provides us with defense and trade, said Chief Crux. What does Earth offer that makes defiance worthwhile? Technology exchange, Park said. Humans develop differently than Concord species. We have innovations they lack. And freedom to negotiate your own trade terms, added Nara. I sense you resent paying tribute to the Concord for protection you rarely need. Chief Crux snorted, a sign of Tor amusement. You do cut through the soil to the stone, don't you, Empath? 1 month later, the Tor joined the growing alliance with Earth. The Mechtal, insectoid beings known for their engineering skills, were harder to convince. Their hive-based society valued order above all. The Concord provides structure, said the Mechtal Queen's voice. Disruption threatens all. Nara, sensing the deeper currents beneath the words, took a risk. Your people value creation above all else. The Concord limits what you may build and where you may sell it. I sense your frustration at these limits. The Queen's voice vibrated her wing casings, a sign of surprise. You perceive much, Empath. Within 2 cycles of their sun, the Mechtal too had broken ranks with the Concord. Back on Earth, President Lee received the news with cautious optimism. 3 species have aligned with us. but the Concorde controls 27. True, Park said, but we've created cracks in their unity. And we have something they don't understand: genuine cooperation rather than forced compliance. The diplomatic offensive did not go unnoticed. High Admiral Drex sent increasingly threatening messages to the species that had allied with Earth. When these failed, he prepared a punitive fleet to blockade the Illuvian homeworld. Before the fleet could launch, Drex was suddenly recalled by the Concorde High Council. Rumors spread that many council members had been disturbed by what they felt during the empathic broadcast. Others feared losing more members to Earth's growing alliance. 2 weeks later, a new Concorde ship entered Earth orbit. Unlike Drex's massive warship, this was a sleek diplomatic vessel. Its commander, Commissioner Vex, requested a face-to-face meeting. In the neutral location of Earth's moon base, human and Valny representatives waited in the conference room. President Lee sat at the head of the table, with Park and Nera at her sides. When Commissioner Vex entered, they noted his different approach immediately. Where Drex had worn battle armor, Vex wore formal diplomatic robes. President Lee, Ambassador Nera, Vex began, "I bring greetings from the Concorde High Council." "We receive them with interest," President Lee said carefully. "The Council has reviewed recent events," Vex continued. "In light of new information, the Concorde acknowledges missteps regarding the Valny situation." Nera's scales flashed briefly with surprise. She focused her empathic senses on Vex and felt something unexpected, genuine regret mixed with political calculation. "Missteps," Nera repeated. "An interesting word for the destruction of our homeworld and the deaths of millions." Vex lowered his eyes. "Words cannot undo what was done. I am authorized to negotiate a new arrangement between the Concorde, Earth, and the Valny." "What arrangement?" Park asked. "The Concorde is prepared to grant the Valny protected status and recognize Earth's right to host them. In return, we ask that you cease your diplomatic campaign among Concorde members." President Lee's expression remained neutral. "And what assurances do we have that the Concorde won't change its mind again?" "We offer a formal treaty," Vex said, "and observer status for Earth and Concorde affairs, something never before granted to a non-member." The negotiations lasted 7 days. Nera served as Earth's secret advantage, sensing when Vex was being truthful and when he tried to deceive. On the final day, Nera addressed Commissioner Vex directly. "We do not seek vengeance for what was done to us," she told him. "Only recognition of our right to exist and guarantees it will never happen again." "The Concorde gives these guarantees," Vex said. Nera sensed his sincerity. The resulting Treaty of Luna established new realities. The Valny gained protected status. Earth received observer status in Concorde affairs. Most importantly, a principle was established that member species could maintain independent relations with non-Concorde worlds. As they signed the treaty, Park leaned close to Nera. "Is this victory?" he asked quietly. Nera looked at Commissioner Vex, sensing the complex emotions beneath his formal expression: respect, worry, calculation. "It's a beginning," she replied. "The Concorde will never be the same. Neither will Earth. Neither will we." "To beginnings, then," Park said. "And to truth," Nara added. Outside the conference room, the Earth hung in the black sky, blue and green and beautiful, home to humans, Valny, and now a new chapter in galactic history. The red sun of Proxima Centauri cast a warm glow across the valley, where Haven Colony spread beneath the mountain range. Buildings of mixed human and alien design rose from the rich soil, some tall and straight in human style, others curved and flowing in Valny fashion. In just 3 years, the empty valley had transformed into home for 20,000 settlers. Admiral Jinwoo Park stood at the large window of the observation tower. At 62, his black hair had turned mostly gray and lines creased his face, but his eyes remained bright and alert. The uniform he wore carried the emblem of the Coalition, a circle of stars surrounding Earth and 7 other worlds. Beside him, Ambassador Nera watched the colony with equal interest. 10 years had changed her too. Her scales now held the deep blue of maturity with golden patterns indicating her status as an elder. She had grown taller, stronger since the desperate days of the refugee ship. 10 years, Park said softly. Sometimes it feels like yesterday we found your ship. And sometimes it feels like another lifetime, Nora replied. Look there. She pointed to the central park where children played. Human children with brown, black, and blonde hair ran alongside Valny children with shimmering scales. They played a game using all the Valny children's 4 arms and the humans too, a new game created for their unique bodies. Did you ever imagine this? Park asked. When you were fleeing, did you think your people would not just survive but thrive? Nera's scales rippled with emotion. Never. We hoped only to live, to find some corner where we would not be hunted. Below them, the view screen showed more of the colony. Beyond the human and Valny homes, another section housed the tall, willowy Eluvians. Their crystal-like buildings caught the sunlight. Further along, the sturdy, low homes of the Tor stood near the mines where they worked. The air was busy with the buzzing wings of mechtal workers, their specialized construction skills helping build the colony faster than either humans or Valny could alone. 7 species now, Park said. 7 who left the Concorde to join us. 8 counting the Dren who arrived last month, Nara corrected. They've asked to establish a settlement near the Western Ocean. Park nodded. The Council approved their request yesterday. The council he mentioned was the Coalition Council, the governing body of the Earth-led alliance that now controlled nearly a third of known space. Each species had equal representation, a stark contrast to the Concorde's hierarchical system. The Concorde called yesterday, Park said. Commissioner Vex wants to discuss expanding trade agreements. Nera's scales flickered briefly. He means he wants to spy on our new propulsion technology. Park laughed. No doubt. But even his spying shows how much has changed. 10 years ago, they wanted to destroy us. Now they study us. A small transport ship rose from the landing pad below, heading to orbit where the UES Unity waited, Park's flagship and the most advanced vessel in the Coalition fleet. It would take them back to Earth for the Council meeting next week. We should prepare to leave soon, Park noted. President Kim wants to review our expansion plans before the Council session. But neither of them moved from the window. The view held them. This world they had helped create. We sought sanctuary, Nera said after a moment. You gave us partnership. The Concorde feared us because we could sense their lies. They feared humanity because you exposed the truth that diversity brings strength, not weakness. Park turned to look at her. You know, when we first found your ship, some on Earth wanted to turn you away. They said helping you would bring us nothing but trouble. They weren't wrong about the trouble, Nera said, her scales shifting in a pattern of amusement. No, but they were wrong about everything else. Park gestured to the colony below. Look what we've built together. The Concorde built an empire through force and fear. We're building something better. A family, Nora said. A future, Park replied. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft chime. The door opened, and a young human woman entered with a Valny child. Sorry to interrupt, Admiral. Ambassador, the woman said, but someone wanted to say goodbye before you left. The Valny child, a girl with bright green-blue scales, ran forward on her short legs. Grandmother, she called to Nera. Nera bent down, using all 4 arms to lift her granddaughter. Tavi, should you not be in school? Teacher let us come watch the ships, the child explained. Will you be gone long? Not long, Nora promised. Just to Earth and back. Can I come next time? I want to see where humans first came from. Park smiled at the child. When you're a bit older, perhaps you can visit as my special guest. The girl's scales flashed with excitement. Really? Can I see the Unity's bridge? That can be arranged, Park said seriously, as if making a diplomatic agreement. Come, Tavi, the human caretaker said. The Admiral and your grandmother have work to do. After they left, Park and Nara watched the child skip down the corridor, one hand held by her human caretaker. "Our greatest achievement," Nara said softly. "The colony?" Park asked. "No, the children who see nothing strange about our differences, who play together and learn together without thinking twice about scales or arms or skin color." Park nodded. "They will build things we can't even imagine." Their transport was ready. As they walked to the landing pad, they passed humans and aliens working side by side. Engineers discussing power systems, farmers planning crop rotations, teachers from 3 species preparing lesson plans. The red sun was setting as their transport lifted off. Below them, lights came on across Haven Colony, creating patterns of human streets and Valny circular plazas. From orbit, the pattern looked like a beautiful tapestry of different designs woven together. The UES Unity waited for them, its sleek shape outlined against the stars. On its hull, the Coalition emblem shone proudly. Inside, the crew, human, Valny, and 3 other species, worked together with practiced ease. As the ship prepared to jump back to Earth, Park stood on the bridge with Nara beside him. "Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if you had never found Earth," he said. "If your ship had turned toward some other star." "I do not need to wonder," Nara replied. "My people would have died. Your people would have remained alone. And now neither of us is alone," Park said. "And we never will be again." The stars stretched and blurred as the Unity